And we are live. We are live with Rory Vaden, who's one of my most favorite people on the planet. Not just because he helps sell books, because helping sell books is really not what it's all about. He is just really a cool guy. So you're going to find out so much more about Rory. Welcome, Rory.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thanks for having me, buddy. I feel the same way. I'm so grateful to know you and excited to talk about building a powerful identity and, settling into your highest self, and how do we all do that, and how do we create more abundance and power in our lives.
Yes, and you have a brand new book that's coming out tomorrow called Wealthy and Well Known. And I'm so excited about this book. It's not just about becoming wealthy and well known. It's really about creating the identity of who you are first. And I talk so much about that because your identity precedes your destiny. And I know that you talk a lot about that, and just tell us a little bit more about who you are, how you started, and just your story.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I mean, basically, so this book comes from our work over the last 7 years at Brand Builders Group. We're a personal brand strategy firm that we have advised several of what's the top personal brands in the world, right? That are very recognizable. People like Ed Milet and Lewis Howes and Amy Porterfield and Eric Thomas and John Maxwell, and all of these clients that we've worked with who have built these great personal brands. And then what happened is, through that work, we started to notice a pattern, which is that a person's purpose and their identity is directly connected to their ability to perform as a personal brand and or build a business. And so while much of what we teach is very practical in nature, in terms of like, okay, how do you grow an audience? How do you monetize that audience? How do you increase your reach? Over time, what we realized that we didn't know so much when we started was the connection to somebody's divine identity. And to go, this isn't just a matter of business practicality. It's also a matter of divine spirituality and figuring out who are you created to be. And so some of that comes from the single best piece of personal branding advice I've ever received was from a gentleman named Larry Winget. And we quote Larry in the book. And by the way, we're giving our new book away for free on audio, so we can mention that whenever. But
I have it up on the
link. You got the link up there. Okay, yeah. So
yeah.
But Larry said the goal is to find your uniqueness and exploit it in the service of others. Find your uniqueness and exploit it in the service of others. And I remember when I heard that, I was like, that's so brilliant. That's so beautiful. That's so true, to go, all right, how do you, on the one hand, it's like, this is how you separate yourself from the crowd. But on the other, this is how you find your life purpose. Because when you look at somebody who is struggling with loneliness, right, or sadness, and you go, if you go to pursue happiness, then a lot of times what happens is we see that it leads to like actually negative places. People get drawn into temptation and indulgence and addiction and self-centeredness. But on the flip side, if you go in pursuit of service, if you go in pursuit of helping others, if you go in pursuit of making a difference in the lives of the people around you, then not only do you do that, but happiness and joy and fulfillment and purpose shows up in your own life. And one of the flagship parts of the book, so actually we inscribed this on the cover, is one of the core messages of the book, which is that we discovered that for all of us, you are most powerfully positioned to serve the person that you once were. And so for anyone who's going through a reinvention, anyone who is coming out of a divorce or breaking up with a business partner or starting something new or coming out of some type of a lawsuit or conflict or a relationship, as you step into a new future where you go, okay, I have a clean slate, and what once was is now gone. And what should I do next? We really believe that the 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 place where the most power lies is figuring out how can I serve the person that I once was, both from a profit perspective, but also from a purpose perspective.
Yes. Oh, it's so powerful because everybody in our community, and for those of you who are watching right now, who can relate to that, right? That that there's somebody down deep inside of you, your soul is speaking to you right now. That that you were born for more. That you're dealing with something right now, but that this has to be for a reason, that you want to use this experience for the greater good, that you want to turn around and use this experience to help others, and 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 help others not have to go through what you've been through, right? and and this is so
Exactly.
painful. It's been so painful, right? And so,
That pain. So just to double tap on that, like nobody likes pain, right? Like nobody wakes up and goes, "Oh, I hope something painful happens today. I hope something tremendously difficult happens today." But when again, we operate, okay, so our team and our strategy, we operate at sort of the intersection of like profit from a personal brand and the your personal purpose and figuring out who you are meant to be. And so pain really matters a lot. Why? Because you go, if you want to know where your uniqueness lies, what you have to ask yourself is, what challenge have I conquered? What obstacles have I overcome? What setbacks have I survived? What tragedies have I triumphed over? Therein lies your uniqueness, right? And therein lies your credibility, and therein lies your power. And your credibility, like people think that credibility is like, oh, it's about how many followers you have, or it's about how much money you have, or it's about the number of degrees you have. And it's like, no, when you're building a personal brand, your credibility doesn't come from those things. Your credibility comes from the fact that you're teaching somebody how to do something that you've already done. You're guiding somebody on a journey, on a path that you've already been down. You're helping someone navigate through heartbreak and setback that you've already survived. That's where the credibility comes from. And again, it's a practical, pragmatic business conversation to go, oh, what could I build my personal brand around? I could build my personal brand around that. What problems can I solve for people? What pain can I help them overcome? But it's also, it gives you this purpose and this identity to and context for your pain, right? So if you go, whenever bad things happen, our immediate default is, why is this happening? Like, what did I do wrong? Why is this happening to me? And when you look at it through this lens, you realize, what if the hard things that are happening to you right now, or the terrible things that have happened in your past, if they had nothing to do with you? What if they were God's way of designing you and shaping you and making you and molding you into the very person that you needed to become one day, so that you could reach back and help someone else, or encourage someone else, or serve someone else in their time of need? And that's what's amazing about just the era that we live in, is like, you can monetize your personal brand from just about anything. And you go, I can take my life's purpose, the work that I think that God has uniquely assigned, and I can turn that into a business if you want to, or you can just turn it into a message that you use to automate trust and drive leads to your existing business. But it is that pain is the genesis of what becomes our power.
yeah, and I think that it's meant for that. It's meant for that. Like that's you talk about how the human brain is like wired for survival. It's not really wired for success. Can you actually go into that a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of this, so my first book that came out was a book called Take the Stairs, which is really about the psychology of self-discipline. And so this book, Wealthy and Well Known, is really about, like we're saying, is like building your personal brand. But there's a connection, this intersection point, which has a lot to do with your mindset. And the human brain is not designed for success. The human brain is designed for survival. So the number one function of our brain, like the number one job, is to keep us alive. So if you understand that, which is a good thing, right? You go, yeah, all things being equal, if there's one thing I need my brain to do, I need it to keep me alive. Okay, great. But once you understand that distinction, you draw some really powerful insights about yourself to where you go, okay, staying alive is all about conserving energy. Staying alive is all about avoiding risk. Staying alive is all about doing what is predictable and doing what is comfortable and doing what is safe. That's completely the opposite of what it takes to be a successful person. Success is totally the opposite. Success isn't about staying safe. Success is about taking risk. Success isn't about staying comfortable. Success is about taking chances, right? Success is about doing things that are uncomfortable. It's about breaking out of the norm. It's about challenging yourself to do new things. It's about becoming a new person. And by default, you're working against your brain's native design. And so you have to know that, and you have to condition yourself. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It means you have a perfectly healthy, functioning, normal human brain. It just means that most of us have the luxury of living in a life today where we're not feeling threatened for our very survival. So we have the luxury of pursuing success, right? We have the luxury of pursuing purpose rather than just trying to maintain our existence. And so when you move out of survival into success, when you move from just like existence to purpose and power, then that's where the opportunity to build your personal brand comes from. And that's part of why we're giving away the audiobook for free. So obviously, I think you can see.
I just want to point out that when you're dealing with a high conflict personality, you're pushed into having to get out of that because you're in the survival land. And so you're going, wait a minute, I didn't want to have to be pushed, but you have to. And you're dealing with all of the things that mean the most to you. I mean, most people don't have to deal with divorce or death or whatever, in these moments. But when you're dealing with this and you add that layer of dealing with a high conflict personality, you're dealing with limbic brain and not prefrontal cortex brain. A person who's in high conflict personality, they're in their limbic brain all the time. So they're not in their prefrontal cortex, meaning they're not thinking from reason. And so you have to be the one who calms your nervous system, who has to try to think from reason. And whether you're dealing with a dissolution of a business partnership, or you're dealing with a probate litigation, or you're dealing with a divorce, or maybe it's a boss or whatever it is, you're dealing with a person who's not thinking from reason. And so, and you're dealing with things that mean the most to you. It's usually money or finances or your business or your kids or whatever. And so you're having to make rational decisions quickly, and decisions that are going to affect very important things in your life for a long time. And so you're the one who has to go, wait a minute, how do I get into my rational thinking self? And so it's now you have to be the one that goes, okay, how can I think from not being in survival, but being in success mode? Um,
And
and
you got to adapt and you got to change. And look, here's a little piece of our personal story that the people we haven't talked a lot about, but we do reference it in the book because I co-authored the book with my wife, who is my business partner, and she's also the CEO of Brand Builders Group. So I'm like the CMO. Well, if anyone is watching who's going through one of these difficult times right now, a divorce, all the things you mentioned, a business dissolution, et cetera, there's also like this fear of like, well, what's going to be on the other side? And this is what happened to us. In fact, the opening line, the first line in this book, because my wife and I alternate chapters, and she wrote the first chapter. And the opening line of the book is May 4th, 2018. Your services will no longer be needed. And it's my wife telling the story of how we started a company from scratch in 2006. We built it to an 8-figure business. We had 200 team members, 5,000 clients, but we had partners and we had investors. And we walked into what we thought was a routine financial meeting, and we walked out of that meeting and they fired my wife. And we never thought but we never had a plan to build Brand Builders Group. We were doing a different business. Like the day before my wife was fired, I would have had the logo of our former company tattooed on my body. I was that committed to like, this is going to be my life. And that's heartbreaking for anyone who's like, I got into this marriage thinking I was going to be here forever. I got into this business thinking I was going to be here forever. I took this job because I planned on working at this company forever. And then all of a sudden it falls apart.
yeah.
And
that's what happened. And so now you've got to reorganize, rethink, and do it quickly. And that's where you got to go, okay, I've got to create a new identity, and I've got to think how, instead of like be in status quo. And that's where stepping into the role of leader, because if you stay in the role of victim and you go, well, it's their fault, and everybody else is is the problem, then you stay in that victim mentality. But stepping into the role of, okay, new identity.
yes,
Who am I? Who am I now? That is the key.
I love that. And who am I now? And the other part is to go to the victim mentality. The victim is like going, why did this happen to me? This is so unfair. This is da da da. And what we've realized is all of that may be true, but it doesn't change the fact that it happened. And your power comes from going, oh, I believe that if something bad happened to me, there's a reason. And I don't yet know what the reason is, but I know that, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. And it's been preparing me and shaping me and making me into the person I needed to become to create this new, better, more exciting future. But it may require me to have to adapt and change and step up and let go of some of the safety and the convenience and the comfort of who I once was, because who I was yesterday has nothing to do with who I'm going to be today, other than it shaped me. But I'm going to decide to be a different person. I'm going to decide to be a better person. I'm going to decide to make the most out of my circumstances and create a stronger future. And whatever I got to do that is the person that I'm going to become.
Yeah. So my best friend, who, she and her husband sold their business for, a lot of money. They ended up creating a whole other business. But she used to be a functional medicine physician who focused on weight loss. And she used to have people come into her practice who would say, here's all the reasons I can't lose weight. My parents were overweight. My sisters are overweight. I have a terrible metabolism. I've tried working out. I've tried all the diets. I've tried this. I've tried that. I work out, 24 hours a day. I've tried, and I can't lose weight. And you're not going to be able to help me either. And she would say, okay, do you want to be right about that? Or would you like to lose the weight?
Oh, that's so good.
So, that's what I would say to people. Do you want to be right about that? Or would you like to have a different life? So you can be right, or you can have a different life.
And so much of that, what's crazy is it's like the Henry Ford quote, right? Whatever you tell yourself, how to forget what the quote is, but it's like, whatever you tell yourself most often is what becomes true. And,
Yeah.
it's like, what is truth other than something that we've heard again and again and again, right? And so what matters most is what you tell yourself about yourself, what you tell yourself most about your future, what you tell yourself about your past. And so I think people don't necessarily make the connection that your personal brand is this thing that you can turn into even a business by just going, I'm going to celebrate, acknowledge, adapt, glean from everything I've been through to give me a new identity that adds value to others, creates a new opportunity for me. And, because of the technologies that exist in the world today, we can impact people, we can reach people, we can make a difference, and we can create a new identity for ourselves, and be of service in the process.
Yeah. So I'm so excited about this because being wealthy, being well known, whether that is what you want, do you want to be well known? Maybe some people don't want to be well known. That's fine. But, everybody wants abundance in their life in some way, whether it's in love, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in money, whatever it is, abundance to you can mean whatever you want it to mean. And that's why I really encourage you. He's giving away the book for free. Go to freebrandAudiobook.com/Zung. The link is there. I also sent it to you guys in an email. So go get it. It's a gift. And take the gift. Take the gift because you want abundance in your life. The only reason why you don't have abundance in your life is because you're resisting it in some way. And create and step into your new identity. As I always say, your identity precedes your destiny. I want you guys to have abundance in your life. It is your birthright. It is your birthright. And Rory and his wife are such beautiful examples of that. And I love everything that they are up to. So,
thank you, buddy. I appreciate that so much. And yeah, we believe every single person, right, has a life that matters, right? There's a design on your life. There's a calling on your life. And if you feel a calling to share your story with other people and your message with other people, it means you're a mission-driven messenger. And like our highest value, like our highest self is when we are our highest value to others. And when you do that, it can create meaning for your life. And as you say, Rebecca, it can also create abundance as a byproduct. Like financial abundance can be the byproduct of serving more people. And you do a great job of that. And, I feel privileged to know you and honored to just be here and have your support. So I really appreciate it. So I hope people, there's no catch. The audiobook is totally free. There's nothing you have to do. You just go download it. You get it for a lifetime. And it's because we want people to find their purpose and step into their power. And, like you say, it's like you can let go of being the victim or anything in the past and just create a new future. And we all have that chance. So thanks for encouraging people to do that. And thanks for letting me be a part of it here.
Yeah, I sent it to you guys in an email already. I know several of my coaches have expressed an interest in this is the year that they're going to write their book. So I'm holding them to it. And I had them create their future selves this year. And many of them said that by the end of 2025, they are going to have written their book. So we'll see. We're holding them to it. And regardless, go to freebrandAudiobook.com/Zung, get your free book. It's there for you. It's your gift. And thank you, Rory Vaden.
Thanks so much for having me, Rebecca.
It's my pleasure. Is there anything else that you want to add to? Is there anything I didn't mention that you want to share? Any links?
I mean, not really. I mean, we covered a lot of the things. I guess one last little tidbit would just be sometimes people don't answer the call. Like they go, oh, I said I'm going to write a book, but then they don't, or they go, oh, I know I want to start that YouTube channel. Or I know I want to help more people. Or I know I want to create content that encourages, and then they don't. And there's usually only one reason why they don't, and it's because of imposter syndrome. It's because they're like, I'm not sure I'm smart enough. I'm not sure I'm good looking enough. I'm not sure anyone listened to me. I'm not sure I have any original thoughts. I'm not sure. And in what we've noticed is that fear is always self-centered. You only feel fear when you're thinking about yourself and how you're going to look and what people are going to think about you. But there is no fear when the mission to serve becomes clear. The moment you start thinking about just, it's not how do I look, it's how can I help the person on the other side of the camera or the other end of the microphone. It's not what do people think of me, it's going, how can I be useful for them? How can I encourage them? How can I support them? How can I share with them? All of a sudden, all that fear goes away because you're just trying to help someone. And I think that's when we're in our highest power, is when we're moving from being self-centered to service-centered. And a lot of people mistake personal branding for vanity, and it's not at all that. When it's done right, it's done for humanity and making a difference in the lives of others. So you do that so well, Rebecca. And I feel honored to do this. I hope everyone enjoys the free gift, and thanks for letting me be here.
Yeah, I remember that Wayne Dyer actually said before he went on stage or was going to do anything live, he used to just say, "How may I serve?" And now I do that because it actually takes away my stage fright or anything. If I just say, "How may I serve?"
Amen.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
And go follow Rory on Instagram too, by the way. He's got a really awesome Instagram. He's got a lot of really cool stuff there. So
Thank you, buddy.
love his podcasts. So go check him out. Thank you, Rory. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks, everybody.
All right.